Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rosano. This is another episode of the world famous, the University Love, the best podcast at 123 galaxies. But ladies and gentlemen, we just call this show Online Marketing Moves, and we are coming to you live today. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about something very important. Today we are going to talk about point blank period. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want the thing that you are aiming for? And I'll give you a couple of examples. We're gonna go back into the time machine to 1991, I believe. Okay, and there's been a few times in my life where there's been a few times in my life that I really wanted something like so bad that I could. That I could, I know they say, you want something so bad you could taste it, but there's been a few times that I could actually say I wanted something like real bad, like I was, die trying to get it, and one of these times when I was real young, I was playing baseball, and I wasn't bad, I wasn't the greatest baseball player to ever walk the earth, but I wasn't too shabby either. And I was on the team, and the team was very bad. And we made it to the playoffs, and we was the last seed of the playoffs. And we had to play this team, and whoever won got to advance to the next round, of course, And that day when I woke up, it was just something that I can remember this day like it was yesterday, and I remember, and I was like, I really want to win, because we won like one game the whole season. Like, we was really bad, but I was like, we are better than what our record says. You know what I mean? But and so this game, I was like, I'm going to do I'm going to do everything I can to win this game. I am going to try to will my team into a victory. And it's funny because when I got to the ballpark, the coach was like, "You're pitching tonight," and I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, you pitching." He's like, "You do pretty good," and I was like, "All right, I'm ready." And so I pitched my little heart out, And this is way back in the day when I weighed like 80 pounds, 90 pounds, maybe when I was 12. I wasn't the biggest kid in the world, but I had a lot of determination. And man, I pitched some more, and we was winning actually. It was a pretty good game, and I got kind of tired, and then they took me out, and so I went to first base. And I remember even then I was, a ground ball came to me. I was really determined, and up until that point in my life, when you're 12, come on, man, it's not nothing that you really, have any kind of desire to, to do really, but this is the one thing, and I'm like, I want to win this game so bad, because we have been so bad, and we have been laughed at and mocked, and I was just like, I want to win this game. And the point is, I did everything in my power. I did everything that I could do. At the end of the game, at the end of the game, we was winning, and we had a guy. The ball rolled down to him. It went through his legs. Of course, the other team won the game, but I was just so tired. I was so exhausted. I was like, there's nothing more I can physically do to try to do anything else. I tried my best. I tried my damnedest to win that game. I gave it everything I had. And so I say all that, ladies and gentlemen, to say it's sometimes you want something so bad that you just start to get like a hunkering for it, I'll give you another example. I remember when I was first started truck driving, and for some reason it wasn't clicking very well, and it was not going very well for me. It was very frustrating, and I was getting annoyed, and I was ready to quit. But then I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna let some stupid truck, dominate me. You know what I mean? And like, for some reason, I was just like, I'm gonna get through this, And I was very determined, and it took a little while, but eventually now, 15, 16 years later, I know without a shadow of a doubt, me personally, I could outdrive anybody in the company that I work for, but that does not matter, And another example is, I remember me and my wife had a falling out, a bad falling out, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna marry this woman. I'm gonna make things happy. And so I was determined. Of course, it's not. I'm not the only decision maker in this process, but that's not the whole point. The point is, I was determined. I was like, I'm gonna marry this woman. She's gonna be my wife. That has been my goal from the get go. I'm gonna get off my shenanigans, my nonsense. I'm gonna make things work. And boom, boom, boom. 5 years later, here we are with a nice, happy marriage, a nice little baby, and everything worked out. And it got me thinking today about, it's I'm like, because I'm at the point now where the job, I don't care about the job that I have. I'm transitioning, and I know this. And I remember when I first started this podcast, I was like, 3 months, but a lot of things have happened in my personal life. A lot of things have happened. There's no rhyme, no reason, no excuses. But a lot of things, came into the picture. But it does not matter. The focus has always been, become a top podcast. Become a top podcaster. Become a top copywriter. Become a great internet marketer. A marketer period. And make all the money that I possibly can, and leave trucking behind. Like that has been the goal for the last couple of years. And the more I do it, the more that every day I do this thing, the more determined I get. And now I'm like, I feel like that 12-year-old kid that I was when I wanted to win that baseball game. And I'm like, this is gonna work because I'm gonna make it work. Now there's always factors behind different things, but one of the most important things is determination. It's like, how bad do you want it, and that's gonna go into the crux of, because we all say different things. I want to read 30 minutes a day. Well, if you want to read 30 minutes a day, you would read 30 minutes a day. You will make the time to read 30 minutes a day. If you want to study the Bible, you will study the Bible 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day. You would do it every day. If there's something that you really want to do, you'll stick with it and you will do it. If you want to exercise every day, you will find the time to exercise every day. The point I'm making is, if there's something that you really want to do, that you truly want to do, there should be no, oh man, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do that. No, I'm doing it. I always make time I don't even make time to do the podcast. I know I'm going to do the podcast. You know what I mean? It's like my wife called and I said, I'm about to record. And she said, okay, call me back. She knows the determination I have with this whole podcast. She knows, I've recorded from Paris, Texas. I've come to you from Paris, Texas. I've come to you from York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, all points in between. I've recorded at midnight. I've recorded at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. I've recorded all times of the day. I've recorded every day of the week, twice on Sundays. There's a determination that I have. There's a I'm gonna do this. There's a I want this. There's a real determination. A lot of times I remember I used to say, "Oh man, I'm gonna start working out." I didn't really mean it. There was no determination. There was no reason. There was no. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna. I didn't get into the habit. You got to get into the habits. If you want to do something bad enough, you got to get into the habits. It's every day. If you feel like you're forcing yourself to work out, it's not gonna work, because what's gonna happen when you'll get sore one day and you're like, it's too sore. I gotta take it easy today. You take it easy today, you'll take it easy tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day. Trust me, I know this. You know why? Because I was one of those people. And I told my wife, I said, June, I'm gonna lose, like 10 pounds. And so that's another thing. And I'm like, I'm off the soda, I'm off this, I'm off that. I'm determined. And so, I'm gonna start working out and eating right. That's probably more important than working out. But I'm gonna lose those 10 pounds. You know what I mean? And so, a lot of things are not. Don't get me wrong. Strategy, all this jazz is good and everything, but sometimes you just need flat out. Man, how bad do you want it? Like, are you going to get it? What are you going to do? Like, are you going to change your ways? Are you going to be determined? Are you really going to be focused? Like, what are you going to do? Because I read the Bible every day, and that has become a habit. Because I was determined to strengthen my relationship with God, and Jesus Christ. Now, I don't care, no offense. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I don't care if you have a relationship with God or not. I'm just telling you what my thinking was. For me, it's always been important to try to have a relationship with God, And before I would be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna get into that one day. And like 6 months ago, I'm like, it can't be that hard not to read the Bible every day. And so I started listening to I downloaded the Bible on the audiobook. And so I'm like, if I can't read the Bible every day, I can listen to the Bible every day, Because having a baby is not an excuse, but it's definitely like throws your schedule off some until they get old enough, Until they get old enough, 1, 2, whatever, The first few months, you just sort of hanging on for the ride, you know what I mean? But I was like, instead of me trying to read the Bible with my daughter, because she's not going to sit there, it's going to be something she needs, There's always something. I said, I could just turn on the TV and listen to the Bible, So I started doing that every day. And every day. And so every day I listen to the Bible. I read the Bible, listen to it, figuring that thing out about life, And They also gave me these thoughts. I'm like, if I can do that every day, there's other things I can do every day to make this entrepreneurship work, And you have to be willing to every day get out there. The best thing about being an entrepreneur is you have the freedom. The worst thing about being an entrepreneur is you have the freedom. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you going to do with your time, And I look forward to being a full-time entrepreneur, not just part-time, I look forward to full-time filling my calendar up with jobs, filling my calendar up with, recordings, interviews, all this kind of stuff. I look forward to that. And it gives me motivation to be out here at, 11 o'clock at night, recording podcasts in dirt lots, recording podcasts in different states, all that kind of stuff, And I told myself I'm going to start writing every day, and that's what I'm going to do starting tomorrow. Well, probably Friday, because I have a bit of a cold now. So to when I get home tonight, I'm probably just going to sleep. But I'm going to start writing every day, whether it's a poem, whether it's a story, it does not matter. I'm going to get into the habit of back to writing every day. I haven't done that, but I'm determined to do all this, And so When I woke up this morning, I was very energetic, and I was like, Man, thank God I'm alive. I'm happy to be here. Happy to see another day as always. And I'm like, there's so much that I'm gonna do to make this whole thing happen. And I hope that you have those kind of feelings. And sometimes some things you just have to realize, like, hey man, I'm just not into that stuff. Like, you might want to do it, but you might not be into it. You never know. But the thing is, figure out what you want to do. Figure out what you're into, and then take that. Be determined. Like, how you are when you're like a kid, and that's the thing. That's the one thing about adults. Sometimes you have to go back to when you was a child, and you just had like the most determination. Like when I was a kid, like, one thing I was always like just dumb about was riding my bike. Like, I would always tell myself I can ride my bike anywhere, anytime, any place. Like, going up a hill, I would always be like, I'm going up this hill. I don't give a F what they say, because I lived off the Mississippi River, and it was like a levee, and there was like a hill, and people were like, man, you can't get up that hill. I'm like, no, I'm getting up this hill, and I kept doing it, and finally, eventually I did it, and I was like, woo, legs burning and everything, but the point is I did it, and sometimes as adults, we sort of, poo-poo, like, oh man, it ain't gonna work, and it's like, no man, go back to being a child, You know how I remember when I was 16, I was dumb. And I met this girl, and I thought this girl at the time, before I met my beautiful wife, 15 years later, however long it was, I thought this girl was the prettiest girl I ever saw up until that point in my life. And I was like 15 or 16. And my goal was and I was like, I told somebody, and I said, hey man, I think I like her. And they was like, Bozo, you got no chance. And I was like, I'm going to show you, MF, I got a chance, And I tried my best. I give you that. I was determined, I was one step away from getting a kiss, but it didn't quite work out. That's another story for another day. I probably told that story in the podcast already, but anyway. But man, go back to your childhood, man. Just think about how determined you was about different things, and take that same energy, man. Take that same energy you had back then, and use that energy now, And man, you cannot lose. You will not lose, because it's not about, man, sometimes it's not about, oh man, what this, that, and the other. Sometimes it's just about pure determination. Have you ever tried to just do something, and to the point where you just fall out, like you physically can't do it anymore? Like, that's determination, I'm not saying, like, it's like, what's the thing you do when you do the weightlifting? You work out until you fail, like you can't physically lift the weight anymore, like that kind of stuff, Have you ever done that? Like, that is what you need sometimes. You just need pure determination. Like, you just need pure, like, I'm going to do this. It's like, have you ever watched, I grew up watching Michael Jordan. Sometimes Michael Jordan didn't have his A game, but Michael Jordan had pure determination. Sometimes he was not going to lose, I'm not saying he could change the outcome every game, but sometimes when you just want something so bad, you go get it. You know what I mean? And it's like, I know that I'm going to make this podcast. Like, I've known the last few months, there's been viewers, they left, we haven't been consistent, but people, I'm going to make this podcast work. Like, I'm going to make this whole marketing thing work. I'm going to make all this work, and you have to say, hey man, like, I know I'm going to be a writer. Like, I'm going to write books. Like, I'm determined. That's going to happen. And so, ladies and gentlemen, for you, you have to take your determination, and make it happen. All right? It's not about skill. It's not about talent. Sometimes it's just about determination. There's a lot of skilled people that could have played basketball. They didn't. There's a lot of skilled people that could have, been doctors. They wasn't. There's some people that don't have as much skill and they're doctors. There's some people that don't have much skill. They're in the NBA. It's sometimes it's just determination. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the podcast. We will be back tomorrow with the. Ladies and gentlemen, please tell a friend to tell. Podcast. And my name is Tony Zai. Always, everybody. Peace.